How is it going, everyone? And I'm here with yet another WWE Network retro review. WCW Spring Stampede 2000. Of course, this show is infamously known for being the first show in WCW's reboot. The Nitro, before this show, Vince Russo came out and vacated every single championship, abandoned all storylines, all feuds, partnerships, stables, whatever. Pretty much anything in WCW was completely erased, and they were starting from scratch. In my opinion, this is pretty much the official beginning of the end for WCW, because this was just them restarting, was just pretty much them giving up and heading towards their ultimate demise, obviously. But yeah, Spring Stampede 2000, obviously, was this being the reboot. The show featured all the crownings of their new champions going forward, which featured two quote-unquote tournaments, which aren't really tournaments, they're just kind of matches, dubbed as tournament matches, but they were leading to the crowning of the new champions. So yeah, this was WCW's reboot show, and without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and dive right into things, which opened up with the first match of the WCW World Tag Team Championship Tournament, this being a semifinals with Ric Flair teaming with the Total Package Lex Luger, taking on the Mamalukes. Of course, WCW, even though this is their reboot, they could not steer away from their booking, because right before this match started, out comes Vince Russo. So we're already getting Russo booking and interferences from the get-go, and it says that, you know what, hey, this match is not fair, because you have two veterans in Flair and Luger and two rookies within Mamalukes. It's not an even matchup. So what does Russo decide to do? He decides to make it a 2-on-4 handicap match. So he sends the Harris brothers out to help the Mamalukes, with no explanation to where if the Harris brothers win, if they would advance the tournament or not. No explanation behind it. So it's a handicap match, pretty much a huge brawl. Flair is selling for Mamalukes and the Harris brothers for a good majority of it. Then all of a sudden, the Mamalukes and the Harris brothers start fighting with no explanation behind it. They just start randomly brawling with each other. Luger gets a hot tag, gets a submission victory with the torture rack. Very, very boring opener. The match wasn't very long, but it felt like an eternity just because it was just, it wasn't good. Definitely wasn't the hottest way to start off your reboot. Jimmy Hart took on Mancow. I'm not even talking about it. Mancow got the victory after a steel chair shot to Jimmy Hart, so not worth really mentioning. Afterwards, Kidman came out and beat down Jimmy Hart to further the feud with Hulk Hogan. So I like to continuing of that. So was WCW shit booking in the opener? They kind of made up by, you know, having Kidman attack Hart to continue that. So I guess, you know, they can do some decent booking in WCW. United States Heavyweight Championship Tournament quarterfinal, Scott Steiner taking on The Wall. This was pretty good for what it was. You know, it didn't go very long. It's just them hitting power moves. But you know what? I'll say this. Scott Steiner on this show looked motivated, and it showed. His matches were pretty fun, honestly, even though they were pretty short and simple for the most part. The finish came where Scott Steiner table got involved. The Wall went to chokeslam Scott Steiner, but Steiner poked him. The thumb used his thumb to poke him in the eye. There we go. End up chokeslamming the referee through a table. New referee comes out, rings for the DQ. DQs The Wall. So Steiner advances via disqualification. It's funny too, because they were promoting throughout the show that they were going to be relaxed with the rules, and then they immediately have a DQ finish. So I thought that was pretty ironic and funny. But for powerhouse reasons, it was pretty entertaining, I thought, for the most part, but nothing of a match. Backstage, Ernest Miller was being interviewed for his upcoming match. He was attacked by Bam Bam Bigelow, which led into the next match, which was the next quarterfinal in the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship Tournament. Supposed to be Mike Awesome taking on Ernest Miller, but since Bam Bam attacked Ernest Miller, Bam Bam decided to take his spot, and that's what the match was. Mike Awesome and Bam Bam Bigelow. The match was fine. The match went to the outside, where Mike Awesome threw Bam Bam to the audience at one point, and then you know, a few minutes later, Ernest Miller shows back up, hits a super kick on Bam Bam, and reclaims his spot. So Ernest Miller is back in, but it does not matter. Mike Awesome gets the upper hand, hits the Awesome Splash, pins Ernest Miller 1, 2, 3. So in WCW's reboots, they had a scheduled match, which beforehand they changed it, which is not uncommon. You see it happen in wrestling all the time. But in WCW fashion, they decided that the new match would be changed again mid-match, back to the original match. No announcement being made. The referee didn't go, no, it's not a triple threat. Just Ernest Miller just ran in and just, hey, I want my spot back, and took it back. So everything about that match made absolutely no fucking sense. But, you know, looking back at it, I think it perfectly represented WCW towards the end of their life. So yeah, the booking, like I said, perfectly represents the end of WCW. WCW World Tag Team Championship Tournament Semifinals. Harlem Heat taking on Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell. Bagwell and Douglas do an interview beforehand, pretty much hyping themselves up. And again, with with the rules. So Harlem Heat just absolutely destroy Shane Douglas, I feel like, for a good amount of time, to the point where even the ring announcers or the commentators are going, why the fuck hasn't the referee like caused a DQ yet? Because just the rules are completely being ignored. Commentary is just completely pointing out the fact that the referee does not give a shit about what's going on. But Buff Bagwell gets the victory for his team. Clusterfuck of a match. I don't know. Just this show is not very good. WCW United States Heavyweight Championship Tournament quarterfinal. In my opinion, this match was the match of the night as well. Sting taking on Booker. This was good. I enjoyed it. I thought they had good back and forth action. You know, Sting and Booker T have always had good chemistry. I thought they showed it here. Some good back and forth action. Love the finish too, where, you know, Sting was able to counter a suplex into the Scorpion Death Drop onto Booker for the 1-2-3. So Sting gets a victory. Very good back and forth action. The crowd's into it. Very strong match. Like I said, my match of the night. Nothing topped this, and everything else is pretty much downhill from here. Even though everything was downhill from the get-go, pretty much. But it was kind of like you were downhill, then you kind of went like halfway up the hill, then just fell back down again. That's kind of what the show is at this point, if you ask me, with the Sting and Booker match. So yeah, quarterfinal U.S. Championship Tournament, Vampiro versus Billy Kidman. They had a decent match, you know, for a good little portion of it, you know, for a few minutes. They went at it, and then Hogan comes out. He comes through and starts beating the shit out of Kidman, and the referee is just watching. Hogan's literally, he's slamming him on the tables, choke slamming him through the announce table. Hogan's beating the shit out of Kidman at ringside, and the referee doesn't give a fuck. And commentators, once again, like previous to the tag title semifinal, are just complaining why the referee is not doing anything about this. Makes absolutely no fucking sense. But yeah, Hogan beats the shit out of Kidman, throws him in, Vampiro pins him, 1-2-3. Vampiro advances to the semifinals. Nothing to talk about there. Backstage, Hogan attacks Eric Bischoff because obviously he's looking for Bischoff. That's what he came in. Gets him. Russo brings the cops. Cops pull guns on Hogan. Pretty much seduces Hogan at that point. So yeah, just more WCW booking that obviously led into the infamous Bash at the Beach 2000 segment with Vince Russo. But yeah, obviously continuing Hogan and Bischoff. Hardcore match for the WCW Hardcore Championship. Terry Funk taking on Norman Smiley. I love the setup of this match with Terry Funk. Thought that was great. Him looking for Norman Smiley in catering. And the match itself has been entertaining. I thought at first it was very fun with them, you know, backstage, you know, going through the rooms and whatnot, going through catering, going through the kitchens. It was very, very entertaining. And then, you know, the match kind of, as it progressed longer, the kind of worse it got. You know, it was entertaining. It was funny, you know, the spots they're doing. Then it just kind of just got bad to what they were doing, which is coming off terrible. It was botching, some sloppiness, just not a very fun match anymore. So it kind of sucked that it's, like I said, the longer it went on, the worse it kind of got. Dustin Rhodes comes in for a run-in at some point, but fails. Terry Funk does a ladder spot where it's supposed to fly into Norman Smiley's face, but fucks up. Finish is fucked up. Funk wins the championship to win the vacated title, so nothing to it. Fucked up finish too, but like I said, it started off fun, but just as it progressed longer, it just got worse. Semifinals in the U.S. Heavyweight Championship Tournament, Scott Steiner versus Mike Awesome. Again, kind of similar to Scott Steiner's match at the Wall. Had some power moves. It was pretty good at first. But then Kevin Nash comes out as Mike Awesome goes to the top rope, crushes them with the crush. Austin goes down. Steiner puts him in the Steiner recliner. Austin taps out. So Steiner advances to the finals. Nothing to that match at all. Then we had the next semifinals, which was Sting taking on Vampiro. This match is what it was. Not much to it. Sting ended up hitting the Scorpion Death Drop to lock in the Scorpion Death Lock to get the submission victory. I don't know. There's no heat. They try to build up that, you know, both men recently had a falling out, but obviously at the time because Vampiro turned on Sting. But you can just tell there's no heat, and there's just some sloppy stuff, and the finish came out pretty shitty as well. So nothing good between Sting and Vampiro. They did some pretty entertaining stuff though. I forgot what was that cage match they had on Nitro at some point that year, I believe. So Sting and Vampiro did have some entertaining stuff, but nothing ever good. But entertaining in the sense it was so bad it was entertaining. But yeah, Sting advances to the finals to take on Scott Steiner. Suicide 6-man match for the vacant WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Just a clusterfuck of a match. Just absolute nonsense, and just nothing made absolutely any sense at all. Weapons got involved. Daphne got involved. This is where Sunny makes her debut to help Chris Candido get the victory. So Chris Candido does walk out your WCW Cruiserweight Champion via the help of Sunny. And then, of course, Sunny and Paisley get into a catfight afterwards. So not a good match. Like I said, clusterfuck. Nothing made sense. It was just all over the place. Chris Candido is your new Cruiserweight Champion. Whatever. Then we go to the WCW World Tag Team Title Tournament Finals. Ric Flair and the Total Package taking on Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell. One thing I will say about Ric Flair that I forgot to point out at the very beginning. Ric Flair wore street clothes this show, by the way. Ric Flair, whatever he wore to the building when he arrived is what he wrestled in. Flair did not give a single fuck about wrestling at that time period, and who can blame him? But Flair didn't give a shit. The match is what it was. Typical Russo bullshit. Bischoff comes out. Russo comes out. Not Bischoff, I apologize. Russo comes out. Does pretty much. He's on commentary. He does everything he can to ensure that Flair and Luger do not win, which he does ensure because Bagwell and Douglas end up walking out the WCW World Tag Team Champion. So, yeah, just more typical bullshit WCW booking. And speaking of bullshit WCW booking, the finals of the U.S. Heavyweight Championship Tournament, Scott Steiner, Sting, they go at it for a few minutes. Vampiro comes out from under the ring, drags Sting underneath it, throws Sting back up in the ring, covered in blood. Steiner locks in the Steiner recliner, and Sting passes out. And Scott Steiner is your brand new WCW United States Heavyweight Champion. So one thing I will say, Scott Steiner had a good showing because he did look motivated because he probably knew he was winning the championship, and he had a good performance. You know, even this match with Sting, even though it was short, he looked pretty good. He bust out a beautiful T-bone suplex. So the very little he wrestled, I thought he looked good. Maybe that's best for Scott Steiner, but yeah, just nothing to talk about in the finals. And then, of course, the main event was the tournament final for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, which started on Nitro the Monday prior. Diamond Dallas Page taking on Jeff Jarrett. Decent match. Probably the second best match in the show, honestly. Not much to it, though. Some good back-and-forth action. The crowd was eating it up. DDP was getting his ribs worked on because he's always had bad ribs, apparently, in wrestling. Jarrett using a chair, everything else. And again, there could have been a DQ caused easily, but the referee does not give a shit. So typical WCW booking. Eric Bischoff comes out at some point. DDP hits a diamond cutter. Bischoff takes the referee out, so referee doesn't count to 3. Some more bullshit booking. Kimberly Page ends up wailing DDP with the chair. Jeff Jarrett hits a stroke. 1, 2, 3. Wins the WCW World Championship and is your new WCW World Champion. So, yeah, fine main event, but I don't know. It wasn't anything great, but, the main event was almost the best thing on the show. Like I said, Sting and Booker, match of the night. Main event, definitely second close, but everything else was just not good, which is, expected. It was a 3-hour show, 14 matches total. majority of these matches were like 2 or 3 minutes long, so that's why nothing on the show is really that good. Sting and Booker definitely the best match in the show, in my opinion. They had a really good back and forth, 7 or so minute match. But yeah, just everything was really, really short. There really wasn't much wrestling. Like I said, it was the first show in the reboot of WCW. They're trying to crown all its champions, and this pretty much was just a filler pay-per-view to build things going forward. Like I said, they crowned all the new champions. Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas were the new tag team champions. Chris Candido, the new cruiserweight champion. Scott Steiner, the new U.S. heavyweight champion. Terry Funk, the hardcore champion, and of course Jeff Jarrett, the world heavyweight champion. So this was WCW's reboot, and obviously WCW closed its doors down not even a year later. So the reboot worked very, very well in their favor. But yeah, like I said, in my opinion, this show was pretty much the beginning, the official beginning of the end of WCW. Terrible, terrible, terrible show. Nothing to see on the show at all. Worth seeing, I should say. If there is one good thing, like I said, Sting Booker, that's the only good thing. But even that match, I wouldn't really wouldn't recommend anyone go out of their way to go see. Just watch it if you for some reason go out of your way to see the show. Like I said, it's only really known because it is the first show in WCW's reboot. And yeah, just not a good show, but WCW in 2000 wasn't very good in general. So what do you expect? Just typical bullshit WCW booking. WCW might have reset its product, but they didn't escape from their horrendous booking decisions by Vince Russo. So yeah, terrible show for a terrible year in WCW. Of course, if you guys have watched my previous WCW Super Brawl 7 review, I mentioned in that video that I'll be having an upcoming series for WCW in 1998 with a pay-per-view rewind. That'll be coming soon, so definitely stay tuned for that. Hope you guys did the video. If you guys did, feel free to leave a like below. And of course, next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video.